Cindy's Choice. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Giving Chattanooga a voice. It's Cindy's Choice.
Yes, it's Cindy's Choice. It's Cindy's choice to celebrate and collaborate our community. It is Cindy's choice to be brave and to make a difference. That's a lot what this show is about as you get insights with Cindy on Friday evenings. And I am being brave. This is a very vulnerable thing that I do, as I've been sharing a very real and raw story. But I know it is called for such a time as this because it's very relevant, and I'm finding more and more relevance to a lot of what is happening. And these are tough times to talk about. But no one can argue with your story. Your story is yours, and what's happened to you is yours. And if it helps people when the time is right, you need to put it out there. And there's a lot lately of, oh, everybody has a story. Yeah, we all got a story, but it's always about timing. And you've got to have some success coming before your story is relevant. People have to want to know your story because they're seeing something happen with you or something in you that they're curious about, or they want to know how to obtain for themselves. And I that's a lot what's been happening with me. The reason I'm brave enough, Cindy's choice, being brave, making a difference here, is a lot of you have encouraged me and literally pushed me to do this. And it's amazing. I'm a very brave girl. I talk about that all the time. When you hear my story, I'm brave. I was talked about last week how I had a sociopathic mother. When you're raised victimized by your own parents and everyone around you, you get brave. It's called survival. But when you're brave and, let's say, ignorant, not stupid, but you're just brave and it's just geared through surviving, then you stay in a constant cycle of defeat. You've got to know where and how to focus your brave. Just jumping off cliffs left and right is very dangerous. But when you are stepping off the right cliffs and in trust and knowing that you are caught, and in the case of what's happening with me right now, which is a great hang gliding analogy, I am a hang glider pilot, is the thing about hang gliding is you don't step off the cliff and get caught. You step off the cliff and you soar. And that's what I'm experiencing. Cindy's choice is soaring. So I just appreciate you tuning in for insights from Cindy as I go solo on the radio. Again, being brave and making a difference. I want to lead with love and help encourage us to seek to understand. And you can find out more, check out more at cindyschoice.com. Hey, go there because you will find links to integrity centric businesses that really care about the community. They want to contribute through collaboration. Talk about being brave. Collaboration is hard. It is so easy for us just to make things about ourselves and try to help ourselves move forward and succeed. But what we're doing, we're collaborating together so we can better support small business, which is really needed right now, and we can better serve the community. So please go to cindyschoice.com, check out these integrity centric businesses that have bravely come on board, and our momentum's really picking up and we're attracting more and more. We've started our realtor exchange, the Cindy's Choice Realtor Exchange. Just super honored that Mark Height, a major contributor in our community, he's come on board with that. Wendy Dixon of the Dixon team, they've come on board with that. We've got Lonnie Marcus of Lake Homes Realty. She'll be on with me in the morning on Outside with Cindy. That's Saturday morning, 7 a.m. till 8 a.m. live right after Tony Sanders Outdoors. So we've got some really cool creative collaborations happening, and it is all to better support small businesses, to better serve the community, and it's a win-win for everybody. So we just appreciate you tuning in so much. There's no telling where this will go. I have notes all over the place. It's no sense, no use in me planning anything with these live shows. And even with the shows where I load up with guests, it's usually so off the cuff because everything changes so quickly and we want to keep things relevant and we want to keep things current. But I'm finding when you're solo on the radio, it's really hard. There's so much I want to share. There's so much happening in society right now that I have my story is very relevant to. So it's kind of hard to kind of, stay focused. So if I get off on some rabbit trails, I always manage to bring it back around before the show's over. So just bear with me on that. But I mentioned that last week I was very brave in talking about my psychopathic mother. And that sounds horrible. I feel you cringe when I say that. Don't cringe. I love my mama. She had her issues. I had to, she caused me a lot of issues, but I don't blame her. I've never taken that victim mentality. And I had a childhood of abuse, of neglect, of just torment. I was in perpetual danger. It's caused me a lot of health issues because of it, but it caused me mental issues as well. I mean, it made me a little crazy. And I often say I'm just making that little crazy. When you have a good heart, a little crazy kind of works for you. So just keep your heart right, and that crazy will work to your benefit. But I went over some stuff about having a sociopathic mother. And bottom line is most of us grow up with a few emotional bruises from well-meaning mistakes of our parents. A child who grows up with a psychopathic mother, on the other hand, may inherit a legacy filled with self-doubt, confusion, and guilt. And she struggles to differentiate who she is from the object a psychopathic mother attempted to create and manipulate. We're talking about oppression and suppression and just some the evil is the word that I wanted to say. The manipulation is evil. Trying to control other people and for your own gain is just a horrible thing. But for people who deal with these kind of traumas, we talked about how they end up a lot of times with symptoms of complex PTSD. And I want to remind you, PTSD typically results from short-lived trauma or traumas of time-limited duration. Complex PTSD stems from chronic, long-term exposure to trauma in which a victim has limited belief it will ever end or cannot foresee a time that it might. This can include child abuse, long-term domestic violence, being held in captivity, living in crisis conditions, a war zone, child exploitation, human trafficking, and more. And I want to kind of segue, when we get back, I'll segue into why this is relevant to right now. And why my experience of being so mistreated, so abandoned as a child led me to having complex PTSD and not being able to manage because I didn't understand that. I came out of my childhood very confident, very brave, as I explained before, but very misguided and very confused. And I'm identifying with a lot of what's happening in a population that has been very oppressed and very suppressed. And we want to talk about that when we get back. So you got to stay with me here on Cindy's Choice.
WGOW. Headlines that affect you.
But as we address the how, we also have to know that we're addressing the why. And I think that's going to be critical in order for us to turn the page.
Talk Radio 102.3 WGOW FM.
It's Cindy's choice to be brave and make a difference. Literally networking my way off homelessness on the streets to build the strongest network of my life has equipped me to do the same for others. And that's my mission. Tune in Fridays at 7 p.m. for Cindy's Choice and Saturdays at 7 a.m. for Outside with Cindy, broadcasting live so you can join the conversation for a real community connection. Find out more at cindyschoice.com.
America has never been so divided. More than 40 million unemployed, and racial tensions are exploding. Now, a new book by David Horowitz exposes the media war on President Trump. David Horowitz is a leading conservative thinker, and Blitz rips the lid off the secret agenda to stop President Trump. Blitz even predicted race would become the big issue of 2020. Now, Blitz reveals the surprising facts about Trump and his plan to fight back. You need to get Blitz. Already an Amazon #1 bestseller, Newsmax calls Blitz the most important Trump book for 2020. Mark Levin says Blitz is indispensable for every conservative. And Mike Huckabee says it's President Trump's playbook for victory. Find Blitz in bookstores everywhere, or check out the free offer and save almost $28. Just call 800-NEWSMAX, that's 800-NEWSMAX, or go to blitz411.com, blitz411.com. Get Blitz today.
If you've ever used a weed killer, you have to hear this message. I'm attorney Matt Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Recently, one of our lawyers was part of a team that helped secure a verdict for a couple who contracted cancer after using Roundup. If you're a farmer, casual gardener, or anyone else who has used weed killers, you may not know that studies suggest that glyphosate, the main ingredient in Roundup, may increase the risk of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Monsanto allegedly was aware of the risk posed by Roundup, but failed to disclose them to the public. If you or a loved one were diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and you have used Roundup, you could be owed money for damages. Contact us today for a free case review. You pay nothing unless we recover money for you. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Call 844-949-0599. 844-949-0599. Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome. Over 50 offices nationwide. Main office, Orlando, Florida.
When you need to know, you need us.
Most telling counsel they want less money for police, more money for social services like youth and family development centers.
Local news from the most experienced and seasoned news team in Chattanooga.
In Atlanta, hours-long waits, problems with new voting machines, and a lack of available ballots caused unacceptable conditions.
Jacksonville, Florida is the front-runner to host the Republican convention, where Donald Trump will be nominated for re-election.
When big things happen, WGOW.
Talk Radio 102.3.
Thank you. Thank you for staying with us here on Cindy's Choice for some insights with Cindy. And I'm eager to jump back into my conversation. I ended it talking about like some stuff I talked about last week, like complex PTSD and having a life of oppression and suppression, which is something I can totally relate to and identify with. And I want to jump back in, but I got to grin here because I got to send you to the Times Free Press Best of the Best awards, whatever it is. I don't know. And I don't even know how I got on there, but I am nominated for radio personality. And I'm just like still a little shocked and surprised and thrilled. I was going on there to scroll to see which one of my fellow personalities I could support, and there was my name. And I would appreciate your vote. I am such a long shot for this, but now that I'm in it, it's fun. It's just know that a vote for me is a vote for the community, because that's how I use my platforms to support and serve the community. And again, I want to thank all the integrity-centric businesses at cindyschoice.com that support this mission of supporting small businesses and serving our community. Please go check them out while you're voting for Cindy Deering at the, you go to people and then radio personalities. Hey, some integrity-centric businesses you can vote for. The Joint Chiropractic. They're in the running for chiropractic. That's the Joint Chiropractic. Hey, Thornton Home Inspections, best of the best for several years running for good reason. And of course, there's Give Chicken Salad Chick. I believe they're on there for carry out. And Give Tom Pop, Dr. Tom Pop. I think it's Ward and Pop Dental. He supports our Outside with Cindy platform, and they love encouraging folks, helping encourage folks to get outside and get active with us on the Outside with Cindy platform. So we appreciate your vote there at the Best of the Best. And we appreciate you tuning in. And hey, another thing I want to give a shout out for is the Rotary Breakfast Club, RotaryBreakfastClub.org. They've invited me to speak and share my story on June 19th at their breakfast meeting. And I'm super honored to go share. I've shared at Civitan Club, Kiwanis, and some church groups at the Home Builders Association and different types of meetings. There's not much gathering going on right now, so we have to do that via Zoom. But I'm happy to come share with your group as well. You can find that information at cindydeering.com or cindyschoice.com. I'm happy to speak and encourage your group. A real quick shout out on our t-shirt campaign. So excited about that. We were able to raise $1,200, and we will be supporting the Auburn Hills community that got hit so hard. That's the trailer park community that got devastated with the tornadoes. And we've had some other donations, some tons of linens we're going to get to donate. Thank you to the Holiday Inn Express there in Eastridge. Thank you for contributing lots of linens we'll be able to distribute, and shampoos and conditioners and soaps as well. So we're getting to do a lot of good through that. Now, I want to jump back in because I was talking about how I personally identify with suppression and oppression. When I identify with the fact when someone has authority over you and you're supposed to be able to trust that person to have your best interest in mind, and they victimize you and abuse you. And that was my mother. That's what I explained last week. And I will be attaching these shows to my website. I'm the holdup there. I'm not very techie, so they're waiting on some stuff from me that I need to get to them so we can start. You can start checking out the backstories there. But as I shared about that as a sociopathic mother, and I want to remind you, I'm kind of processing. I'm not a therapist. This isn't therapy radio. I'm not a theologian. I'm not an expert on anything except my story and what I've experienced. So a lot of this is me processing with you. We're figuring this out together, but we can learn from my experience because it's taken a lot. It is taking a ton for me to recover from what I experienced as a child, from that extreme oppression and suppression. And it's a real confusing battle. But you know where a battle starts is you've got to figure out what you're fighting against. And it was, I don't know how I instinctively knew that I had to take responsibility for whatever happened to me, despite the challenges. And I'm really thankful that I came out a fighter. I did not come out feeling like a victim and wanting anybody to feel sorry for me. But one is just as bad as the other. And I did not even realize this until I kind of got to thinking about the show this evening and kind of started pre-processing. And I'm like, I kind of get it. I get why people are so angry, because I remember a time when I'm just the sweetest, the Pollyanna, get along with everybody, loving, kind person. But there was a time you put me in a corner and I came out fighting. It was kind of like I could only take so much. It's like I'll roll with it. I'll deal with it. I'll do what I have to do. I can manage. But at some point when you can only take so much, I came out fighting. Well, what I discovered about coming out fighting is it was kind of like a temporary benefit, temporary release. For temporary, it felt good briefly. I got it out, wow, release, freedom. But you know what? That was very temporary, that getting that anger out. And this got me thinking about the whole thing more. And the more I would go through these episodes of being suppressed, being oppressed, being suppressed, and being oppressed, and then bam, I'd come out with this explosion of anger. It created a cycle. I really wasn't getting anywhere. And this is like a rabbit trail real quick. This just made me think about like sharing with my mother. I ran away a lot as a child to keep from getting angry with my mother. She was very, very abusive toward me. And, what are you going to do? Take a beating? Well, you either fight back or you run away. And I would run away because I wasn't going to fight my mother. I was a little girl. I was a very young girl. And I remembered that finally I was about like 15 years old, the very first time I ever expressed any anger. And I had just, 15 years of dealing with some really craziness and being neglected, going without food, being abused, not being protected, being exploited and handed over to pedophiles. I mean, really horrific stuff. So, 15 years old, kind of getting my fill of it. And I had one explosive moment. I remember it was after Christmas, and it was one of those really, really large candy canes. And I didn't throw it at anyone, but I got so aggravated, I threw it at the wall and shattered. And that's when she put me out. I was already paying rent. I was working full time and paying rent, but she put me out when she had some evidence that maybe I wasn't going to be able to be controlled anymore. And that those years of being suppressed and oppressed, it had finally gotten to me. And that wasn't going to be tolerated. And I was literally put out on my own in Irving, Texas, when I was 15 years old, and had to get my own apartment. And I was already working full time. That helped. I didn't have transportation and so forth like that. But what I'm trying to express here is how much I really do identify with feeling so helpless and not being able to break through. Now, in this case, that is I was pretty limited on what I could do, because when you're dealing with someone that's extreme narcissism, sociopath, they are the type where it is all about control. And there were actually people in my childhood that did want to help me. They recognized I was kind of referred to as the sensitive one, and I did have integrity, and I did have compassion and empathy, and people recognized my potential. But my mother was determined to destroy that. And if anyone ever wanted to help me, she wouldn't allow it. There were friends that their parents wanted to temporarily adopt me, and she would not allow that. So what I'm trying to express here is I understand how helpless and how desperate you can get in situations like that. Now, it affected me differently because it was so confusing. When it's your parent, that is your only definition of love. And I talked about it a little bit on the show last week, where in my confusion, that it had an effect on me, where I kept trying to, even after I was put out on my own and went through some other horrific situations and homelessness and so forth like that, I still for a very long time tried to earn her love and tried to earn her attention. And it's just so confusing when you kind of know something's wrong and it's not right and you're not treated right, but you don't know anything else. And I just, I always say, especially in the times we're having right now, lead with love and seek to understand. So I get to processing this, and I'm like, how did I get from there to here? How did I get through that? It has been a battle. It has been a long journey to get that kind of conditioning of that. I often talk about healing personally so that you can succeed professionally. Well, it took me forever just to even kind of get a clue of why I was in a constant cycle of defeat, and why I had compassion and empathy and integrity, and tried as hard as I could to do right and do good, yet I ended up in constant cycles of defeat. I could not break through. And I get to thinking about this, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I've never related that. We're all in our own battle. I've been in, how do I fix me? How do I get me turned around? And I've kind of taken my experience with not having a healthy network of support and my passion for business. That's what Cindy's Choice is building healthy, integrity-centric networks of support so we can succeed professionally. But I could not be building Cindy's Choice if I did not first overcome all of the effects, that complex PTSD symptoms that the constant suppression and oppression and abuse and control had caused me. That is a huge, huge challenge. And we'll talk about that some more. Stay with me here for more insights with Cindy when we get back here on Cindy's Choice.
Everybody's out enjoying the summer. While you're enjoying, think about distancing. Still putting the lid on COVID. The latest guidance online, WGOW.com.
Are you looking for a home inspector? Are you looking to sell your house this year? My name is Desmond Thornton. I'm with Thornton Home Inspections. Visit us online at thorntonhomeinspections.net. We actually can help you get your home sold. Also, we have additional services such as radon testing, mold testing, indoor air quality testing, termite, asbestos testing, lead paint, and others. If you're needing any services like this, feel free to reach out to us at thorntonhomeinspections.net. If there's a service that we can perform for you, contact us at thorntonhomeinspections.net.
Hello, this is Tommy Taylor with Thomas Taylor CPA, a CPA here in Chattanooga on Heritage Business Court. We work with small businesses, helping them with their tax concerns, their bookkeeping, helping them understand their business and how to make their business better, working with their cash flow. I also work with individuals, whether they're large or small. We love helping them achieve the dreams and goals that they have. You can reach us at our website at www.thomastaylorscpa.com.
America has never been so divided. More than 40 million unemployed, and racial tensions are exploding. Now, a new book by David Horowitz exposes the media war on President Trump. David Horowitz is a leading conservative thinker, and Blitz rips the lid off the secret agenda to stop President Trump. Blitz even predicted race would become the big issue of 2020. Now, Blitz reveals the surprising facts about Trump and his plan to fight back. You need to get Blitz. Already an Amazon #1 bestseller, Newsmax calls Blitz the most important Trump book for 2020. Mark Levin says Blitz is indispensable for every conservative. And Mike Huckabee says it's President Trump's playbook for victory. Find Blitz in bookstores everywhere or check out the free offer and save almost $28. Just call 800-NEWSMAX, that's 800-NEWSMAX, or go to blitz411.com, blitz411.com. Get Blitz today.
If you've ever used a weed killer, you have to hear this message. I'm attorney Matt Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Recently, one of our lawyers was part of a team that helped secure a verdict for a couple who contracted cancer after using Roundup. If you're a farmer, casual gardener, or anyone else who has used weed killers, you may not know that studies suggest that glyphosate, the main ingredient in Roundup, may increase the risk of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Monsanto allegedly was aware of the risk posed by Roundup, but failed to disclose them to the public. If you or a loved one were diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and you have used Roundup, you could be owed money for damages. Contact us today for a free case review. You pay nothing unless we recover money for you. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Call 844-989-0906. 844-989-0906. Attorney Advertising. Prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome. Over 50 offices nationwide. Main office, Orlando, Florida.
My husband, Alex Hussey, was hit by an IED in Afghanistan.
I was playing man on foot patrol, and I stepped on the bomb. Lost my legs and my left hand in an explosion.
And he suffered a severe traumatic brain injury.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
There are so many mountains to climb, and we do it together.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
Seeing Alex learning how to snow ski, that's life-changing.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Alex did it. He skied down this mountain. That's something he won't forget.
With the right support, there are no limits.
To see him on that slope and smiling like that, we'll be taking this home.
This has meant so much. Thank you, DAV.
Alex Hussey, thank you for your service. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Talk Radio 102.3.
Thank you. Thank you for staying with me here on Cindy's Choice. More insights with Cindy. Going to jump back in. So to jump in on how I was kind of like, figuring out, I want to help people. That's my heart. That's what this is all about. And I'm finding integrity-centric businesses that care too. And they want to help people too. And it's a pretty awesome thing. So I got to thinking and processing my story. And how did I get from there? Because what had happened in this weird kind of way, I was a very independent person, learned to take care of myself at an early age, but I was very codependent. I got very codependent on this narcissistic environment. It wasn't just my mother. She attracted people like her. And again, don't cringe when I talk about my mom. I love my mom. I don't blame her. I know she had issues. It was a horrible situation, but that perspective is a lot what has saved me. I don't blame her. I just know I have to take responsibility to move on and get healed and turn my own life around. And that's what I've done. That's Cindy's choice. But let me just jump in because I'd gotten very codependent. And I didn't recognize that till in recent years. It takes a while, but I want to help. Somebody's listening. This is going to help them right now. And it's going to help give other people who haven't experienced this better understanding of how tricky all this is. I'm going to read a very short article here. Codependency is typically discussed in the context of substance use, where one person is abusing the substance and he or she depends on the other person to supply money, food, or shelter. Now, people that know my story are like, Cindy, how did you not become a drug addict? That's a lot where addiction comes from. It comes from a lack of connection. You're searching, you need something to numb the pain. So that in itself is an all-out miracle that I didn't become drug dependent through what I had dealt with. But codependency is much broader than that. This is from Jonathan Becker, assistant professor of clinical psychiatry at Vanderbilt University in Nashville, Tennessee. Codependency can be defined as any relationship in which two people become so invested in each other that they can't function independently anymore. Dr. Becker says your mood, happiness, and identity are all defined by the other person. In a codependent relationship, there is usually one person who is more passive and can't make decisions for themselves, and a more dominant personality who gets some reward and satisfaction from controlling the other person and making decisions about how they will live. And that's how I got conditioned. I was controlled, and it conditioned me to seek out controllers. And that sounds so crazy, but that's just how it works. And it's very confusing until you get it figured out. But some signs of codependency include having difficulty making decisions in a relationship, having difficulty identifying your feelings, having difficulty communicating, valuing the approval of others. I was a major people pleaser. It took me forever to get that figured out. Of others more than valuing yourself. That is not good. Lacking trust in yourself and having poor self-esteem. You couldn't tell it, but my self-esteem was at the bottom. Having fears of abandonment or an obsessive need for approval. Having an unhealthy dependence on relationships, even at your own cost. Having an exaggerated sense of responsibility for the actions of others. And I can relate to so many on that list. And I thought, in the confusion, I thought a lot of those were good traits. I thought I was being loyal. I thought I was being loving. I thought I was being understanding. No, I was being controlled. I was being manipulated, and I was being destroyed. So in a codependent relationship, it's asking, is it really that bad? Well, not all codependent relationships turn sour. Becker says any health relationship will have some codependency, or any healthy relationship will, and give and take. For example, it's reasonable if one partner looks to another for advice or guidance on a major decision But if you seek out, maintain, or even feed off relationships that are not fulfilling or healthy, you could be codependent. Well, I finally caught on that I was codependent. So after my divorce, I started searching and seeking and working on myself. And that was a long time ago. And I had no idea at that time how many of those layers of that onion I was going to have to peel away. Because for this kind of transformation, this kind of healing, you've got to break your old self down and rebuild, because you've been conditioned so poorly. You don't have a good infrastructure. And so I began that. And he suggests, like in couples, pursuing counseling, couples therapy, connect with friends and family, and carve out you time. Well, I couldn't connect with friends and family. I did not. My mother had alienated us from everyone. I did not have a support system. But thank goodness I did start seeking counseling. A lot of that was through the church, and started, digging in and investigating and taking responsibility. But the crazy thing, when I was processing all this and thinking, wow, man, I broke through, because I kept attracting people like my mom. I've been in 2 marriages where I did not understand. And what was really hard to admit, I wasn't just attracting people like my mother. I was attracted to them, because that's like the sickness that was trying to take over me, that had quite honestly taken over my mother. But I was not going to allow that. And it was very confusing. I stayed in constant cycles of defeat, of learning more all the time and trying to break free of these old habits of this. And it's confusing. And what I'm trying to do here is identify with people that are trying to break free of a way that they've been conditioned for a really long time. I get it. And it's hard and it's confusing. And how in the world do you make change? How can you change? And that's a lot of what the Cindy's Choice is about. I make good choices now, but it took me a long time to get there. It took me a long, intentional battle. And what was really crazy is I was going through my divorce and gotten this knowledge of understanding, like, wait, I don't blame him. I have to take responsibility for what I'm attracting. There's something in me that's attracting this, and I have to change that. Well, not long after I became a single mother, and with pretty much struggling hand to mouth with that, I'm doing okay though, working on me, prioritizing my children. Well, then that's when my health got really bad. And a lot of that was because of the stress and the single momming it and living in constant perpetual danger as a child, and having just a heightened stress level and just internalizing everything. That will kill you. That will make you physically ill and destroy you. And it had caught up with me. And the doctors really didn't know how to treat it. I was treated with a lot of medication that just made me worse. And through that, though, I ended up codependent in another way, because I was managing as a single mom. I was independent. I was abstaining from relationships because I was working on me and prioritizing my children and getting things figured out. And then my health gets attacked. So guess what codependent relationship I started recognizing I was in? I was codependent on the government, on government handouts, and it's all I had. There was no one in my life to help and support me as a single mother while I was too sick to work. And so that was tremendously difficult for me. It just crushed my pride to have to take handouts. It destroyed me. It destroyed me. And I kind of got this perceptive, okay, this is something I need to learn. I'd been told quite often I was such a giver. I said I had such a heart to give, and I needed to learn to receive. And that was very true. In later years, that was confusing to me, but I realized I had never received love. I had never received love as a child, and I was going to have to learn that. So I took this kind of humble attitude. Okay, I'm going to start learning to receive, because I really need to receive right now. But I understand how when you're down that low, you cannot take care of yourself, and you don't have help. All that's available is handouts. There's no one helping you with hand ups. I was stuck there a good while. And let me tell you, it took some extremely brave, bold, major, big steps of faith to break free of that. Breaking free of that codependent relationship had me homeless, on the verge of homelessness for years. It had me facing all kinds of atrocities. And what I realize now, kind of being determined to break free of that, it took me right back to my childhood. It took me right back to being super vulnerable because of my health. I could not take care of myself. I didn't have help. Like, if you can't go get a job, it's kind of hard to fix your problems. It's not always that easy just to go get a job. If you have health issues or things that limit you, it's tremendously challenging. I mean, you are vulnerable. You have to have help. And I got to, and again, I'm processing this with you right now in real time. I just started, as I lead with love and I seek to understand, I'm really digging into my story and like, what have I experienced? And I got to tell you, I look back at some of this and it's like, it's hard to believe it was me. It is hard to believe it was, I feel like I'm talking about someone else and their story, because I don't feel the pain of it anymore. Yet right now I start to get emotional because I think about all the other people that are going through what I was going through, and they don't know how to reverse that. They don't know how to change that. And I want that person right now to listen and know, sorry, getting emotional here. This is real stuff. I want them to know that there is a way out, and I want you to keep tuning into me because I care and I want to help you out. And those that, you know what, I have lots of Black friends, and there's been times when I'll hug a Black friend in a crowd and I said, you know, it's so hard for me right now because I'm in so many circles that this cannot identify with what I've dealt with. And it's so hard when there's not people you can identify with. And I have lots of friends I can identify with on a professional level, on getting outside and other things that we have in common, and we get along. They're great friends and we get along great. But I don't bring up much about this because they can't relate. They can't and I don't expect them to. But hey, we got to take a break, and I'm going to pull myself together here. Stay with me for more insights with Cindy right here on Cindy's Choice.
Fun. Enjoy our great restaurants, parks, and shops as we get back to pre-pandemic activity. Remember to distance, avoid crowds, and watch for the medically vulnerable. The latest on the COVID recovery on Talk Radio 102.3 FM.
Life moves, and we move with it until back, neck, or shoulder pain hits, which brings us to a stop. That's why there's the Joint Chiropractic. At the Joint Chiropractic, we offer quality chiropractic care that's both convenient and affordable. You never need an appointment or insurance, and we're open evenings and weekends. Visit today and keep your life moving for the $29 new patient special, including exam, consultation, and adjustment. Located in Hickson and Chattanooga's North Shore. Visit thejoint.com for details.
Hello, this is Tommy Taylor with Thomas Taylor CPA, a CPA here in Chattanooga on Heritage Business Court. We work with small businesses, helping them with their tax concerns, their bookkeeping, helping them understand their business and how to make their business better, working with their cash flow. I also work with individuals, whether they're large or small. We love helping them achieve the dreams and goals that they have. You can reach us at our website at www.thomastaylorscpa.com.
Right now, this pandemic has caused so many hardships. The government has extended the IRS filing deadline. You can't ignore your tax debt forever. Perfect Tax Relief can help. Call 855-930-4660. Make no mistake, if you owe back taxes, the IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your wages, even take your property. Many people are facing hardships, and right now is the best time to negotiate your debt. Call 855-930-4660 and let our team of tax resolution specialists work on your behalf to immediately stop the threatening letters, embarrassing phone calls, and negotiate a permanent settlement that works for you. Perfect Tax Relief has been helping taxpayers for over a decade and is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Let us help you like we've helped thousands of others in your situation. Call now, 855-930-4660. Don't do it alone. Call now for a free consultation at 855-930-4660. That's 855-930-4660.
I've got a snack that'll add a little kaboom to your keto diet. Or would that be keto boom? Either way, Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds have the bold flavor that outshines other low-carb snacks. And if keto's not your thing, you'll still love the high protein these rinds deliver. Flavors like Korean kimchi barbecue, honey chipotle, pineapple ancho chili, and more. Visit porkrinds.com to find your flavor boom.
Visit porkrinds.com today for your Southern Recipe small batch pork rinds.
Life moves, and we move with it until back, neck, or shoulder pain hits, which brings us to a stop. That's why there's the Joint Chiropractic. At the Joint Chiropractic, we offer quality chiropractic care that's both convenient and affordable. You never need an appointment or insurance, and we're open evenings and weekends. Visit today and keep your life moving for the $29 new patient special, including exam, consultation, and adjustment. Located in Hickson and Chattanooga's North Shore. Visit thejoint.com for details.
Asked to review the Flynn dismissal request, retired federal Judge John Gleeson writes it is important for judges to, quote, protect the integrity of their own proceedings from prosecutors who undertake corrupt, politically motivated dismissals. That is what has happened here. Gleeson's opinion may be cited by Judge Emmett Sullivan if he decides to not accept the withdrawal of charges against Michael Flynn. It is a highly unusual move on Sullivan's part, but he is not known to be sympathetic to Flynn's predicament.
Less than one full day after his brother George was laid to rest in Houston, his younger brother, Philonis, boarded an airplane and came to Washington, D.C. to issue this urgent plea.
People of all backgrounds, genders, and races have come together to demand change. Honor them, honor George, and make the necessary changes that make law enforcement the solution.
Philonis Floyd described the pain he felt seeing his brother's death on video, saying George cried out for help, but he was ignored. Linda Kenyon, Washington.
Talk Radio 102.3 FM, the Talk Monster.
The Cindy's Choice Show is sponsored by Cindy's Choice Ensemble of Experts.
Thank you. Thank you for staying with me here for more Insights with Cindy on Cindy's Choice every Friday evening right after Sport Talk, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And join us on Wednesdays. We have more of a Cindy's Choice. I had Ivan Meisner on. He is the founder and the chairman of BNI International. That was pretty awesome. He Zoomed me from Texas, and he was on last week. And we've always got really good business support type topics on Wednesdays. And we get more community service oriented on Fridays with me getting real, getting raw, being brave, and making a difference. And that is the goal. And how are we going to make a difference? It has taken a lot for me to get, people have been pushing me and said, Cindy, people need to hear your story. You need to tell your story. But I don't need attention. This isn't fun to me to say, oh, look what I did. Look what I overcame. That's not what this is about. I want to help. And what we're doing, we're reaching out now for relationships in the community with good resources. And we're going to partner up with some of these resources and be able to connect people. So keep tuning in. And we're working on, if there's anything I've learned, is not try to figure things out. If I just take that next step of faith and what I know I'm supposed to do, it all comes together. And I know I'm supposed to get this story out there and try to help how I can. But we are going to be connecting you with, good suggestions for counseling and places to plug in and so forth like that. And don't feel guilty. Like I said, it's whatever your circumstances are, your responsibility is just start digging into you and figure out what you're supposed to do. Don't let other people be telling you what you shouldn't do, what you should do. It is so confusing nowadays. And I don't want to come off like government help is bad. No, I'm coming off like, what would have I done if I had not had government help? There was no one there to help me. No one. And I had to depend on that. But I also recognized I was getting codependent on that. And I had to take really drastic steps to break free of that. And it's this crazy story that I'll share more about. But that's what Cindy's Choice is about, is I understand the huge gap you have to survive to break free of that. And we want to help in that gap. And we're not there yet, but it's a movement that's begun. It's a process that's begun. And again, we're only required to take the next step. We're not going to try to figure it out, but we're going to take the next step together. So I appreciate you tuning in. I do want to remind you definitely to lead with love and seek to understand. And that, here's another, and I'm going to be real brave here and talk about another story. This just came to me, and it's a lot of what's inspired me to share. I was at a business event, and when I come from Houston and Dallas, major melting pots, and I'm used to a lot of diversity. And I was at an event in a business event, and I'd gotten in a conversation with a Black man, and there weren't a lot of Blacks in the room in this particular event. And we were talking about business, and it was a business exchange, networking. And he had heard about my story, and he said, were you really homeless? And I shared briefly, and he goes, I was homeless too. I said, really? He goes, yeah, but most people aren't shocked to hear that from me. And it about knocked me over. And I said, thank you. He said, no, thank you. I'm getting emotional again. Here I go. He said, no. He said, go tell your story. He said, people will listen to you. And that broke my heart. But it filled my heart in knowing my purpose, and that if I can get people to listen that normally wouldn't listen, and it's not like people are horrible. We have to find the things that we can identify with. We have to find ways to reach each other. It's not like everybody's good and bad. We're humans. We're human beings, and there's too much to know, and that's why we all play a part in helping each other to know more and to help more. And it is there is change. And I talk about that. A life of challenge. I made a choice for change. Now I get to be a community champion. That choice for change, and most people won't make it. We've got to be pushed. We are getting pushed right now. We are getting pushed, and it's scary, and it may look like a bad thing. It looks like a scary thing, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing. But we've got to have the right perspective, and we do have to find balance. Dr. Ivan Meisner said, we never find balance. I go, you're so right. There's always going to be something, but we got to keep striving for that balance. It'll tilt. It'll be a little more here, a little more there, but it'll fluctuate. But we got to do this together, and that's why it's Cindy's Choice to celebrate and collaborate our community. That from the beginning, I've talked about. We don't want to compare. We don't want to copy. We don't want to compete. We want to create and collaborate, because we really can do so much more together. But you're a part of this. The community is a part of this, and how you can partly help is start supporting the businesses that are supporting this platform and that are supporting this community. These are truly, I have been super selective, very protective of the businesses that I've allowed to come on board with Cindy's Choice. And now the momentum is picking up because I have people like Mark Height of the Mark Height team coming on board in our Realtor Exchange, and he's got relationships and he can help me bring more integrity relationships on board. And we've got our integrity-centric businesses now, the Joint Chiropractic, Chicken Salad Chick, Thomas Taylor CPA. I'm going to leave somebody out, Thornton Home Inspections, Cancer Photography, Chattanooga Sports, SSP Marketing. I'm probably leaving some out because I got to stop listing them, but go to cindyschoice.com and support the businesses that support the community and help us to celebrate and collaborate our wonderful city. And again, keep tuning in. I'm here every Friday right after Sport Talk, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. live coming at you on Saturday mornings, Outside with Cindy. Got a great topic with you. Lonnie Marcus from our Realtor Exchange. She's going to come and talk about lake home and lake sites and getting outside on the lake. Join me again next Wednesday right after Sport Talk, live 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And check out cindyschoice.com and go like me on Facebook. That's at the Cindy's Choice page. I do share the Zoom recording of the radio shows there, and I will do my part in getting these placed on the website so you can go listen to the previous shows as well. But again, I just, I love you and I thank you. And I just, I hope you'll keep tuning in here on Cindy's Choice. And that's a wrap for Insights with Cindy.